Hey everyone. Today I'm going to take some time to bring you through, I got a little dog hair on the track button. I'm going to take some time to bring you through my sound design process, actually more so my mixing process on the Digitakt, and show you how you can get kind of a bland sounding mix like this. Not super balanced or interesting. So going from that to something like this. Much tighter and much more cohesive. So basically what I did is I took this pattern that I created and I copied it and completely removed all of the parameters, all of the filtering, all of the panning, reverb, delay, all of the LFOs, and all of the bit reduction that I had applied. So here's what the raw sounds sound like from the unaffected pattern. And here's what the edited sounds sound like. So overall, just a little tighter, a little brighter, a little bit more notched out in the EQ section. And let's take a look at each sound one by one. So my kick drum, I tend to use for my kicks, one of my favorites is bass drum 2 puff. And that's one of the stock sounds on the Digitakt. This again is the raw sound. And here's the edited sound. Not too much different, to be honest. As you can see, that's the raw sound. I shortened the length up a little bit on the edited sound. There's also a bit of a high pass filter to get rid of some of that low end. And to be honest, that's really all on the kick drum, so not too much there. Here's one of the snare sounds. I'll remove some of the other tracks so you can just hear the kick and the snare. I'll try to build the track as it goes along like that. This is unaffected. And this is affected. So for the raw sound, as you can see, everything is in its neutral position. And on the edited sound, I shorten up the length quite a bit because I like to crank the bit rate, and you get a lot of weird artifacts if it's not shortened up. I also tighten up the start of that sample to get it, the transient to really stand out. That's from the beginning of the pattern, of the sample. And that's it, tightened up a little bit. Versus the original. And you can also see there's some reverb there. Little tiny bit of panning too. All right, here's a little fill we have. A little fill kind of tom sound. Just a percussive element. That's the edited sound. That's the raw sound. So, as you can see, again, I, in the edited sound, have adjusted the start point to get that, transient really close to being up front, to sound more like a drum. I have also pitched the tuning up, which, I actually kept that the same in the raw sound too. So, and it looks like I've added some overdrive Not too much else. I just adjusted the volume and the start point of that sample, but it really, you know, as I said before, brightens it up, tightens it up quite a bit. This is super faint because I've adjusted the level throughout the pattern, but it's a hi-hat. Really haven't done much with that either, to be honest. It's pretty much the same as the raw sound. Let's add it to the pattern and see if there's any discernible difference. This is still the raw pattern. And here's the edited pattern. It's a little bit more present, I think, to help it stand out in some of the melodic components that are going on there. They're pretty dense and busy. So let's take a look at, you know, the drum beat to see how it sounds across the two patterns, at least the first 4 tracks within the drum beat. This is the raw pattern. And here's the edited pattern. It just sounds so much more alive. Okay, let's go on to the remainder of the sounds. Here's another percussive noise element. That's what it sounds like in the raw pattern. And here it is edited. The big key to this is taking, basically doing like a fake sidechain by adjusting the sample level and lowering it. With every kick drum. This is the edited pattern. Here's the raw. So this is one of those instances where I knew I wanted a sidechain noise component. So I took a noise sample and sidechained it to remove the transient. Sounds really nice and sandy to me. Moving on to the main chord sample. Here's the chord unedited, and here's the chord edited. So I panned it. What else did I do to it? Not much else. I added some overdrive, and I panned it, and that's really it. It's a really nice sample on its own. It's one of the Blank Forms Tape's 3 chords. And those already, they have such a nice, warm, hazy sound to them. So here it is with the unedited pattern. And here's the edited pattern. That panning also just helps to add a sense of you know, spatial orientation, which I think is super important. All right, let's move on to the bass sound. Here's the raw bass sample. Here's the edited bass sample. Kind of sounds like you took a big fuzzy blanket, threw it on top of the sample. I just put a little bit of low pass filter on that. Put a ton of overdrive there. A bit of bit reduction too. And adjusted the start point of the sample. So here's what it sounds like with the pattern unedited. And here's the pattern edited. Just really tightens up the bass sound, but still pretty hairy and fuzzy, but it just sits a little bit more naturally in the mix this way, I think. And lastly, our melodic sound, melodic synth part. This is the unedited sound, and this is the edited sound. Here I added reverb, delay, and you can see it's a stereo delay, so it's panned, and the time is really short. So it's kind of like a slapback, almost chorusing effect. And a bit of a high pass filter with just a hair of resonance. To help it stand out. It sounds kind of flat here, right? It's clean and nice. But here it's very, very present, and the bit rate is cranked too. To get that nice fuzziness. And here's the whole pattern again. I'll play first unedited one cycle, and then I'll play the edited pattern. And here's the edited pattern. I don't throw all of the sounds on the palette and say, okay, how can I shape these up to make them work together? I edit as I go, and I find that makes things nestle together a lot more easily. It's kind of a more organic process for me. And it helps guide the sounds that I choose as the piece builds and develops. I also took the B part to the pattern, which I'll play for you. After this first pattern, the part A progresses, and I kind of did the same thing. I won't go as in-depth as I just did with the first pattern, but so here's part B. These are the edited samples, and it's going to jump into the unedited pattern. Admittedly, it sounds pretty weak compared to this version. So what I'm going to do is I'll play the progression unedited to edited all the way through. This machine. It's really powerful and really capable. One thing I haven't done with this yet is I have not messed around with Overbridge, and I've heard that it's absolutely incredible, super powerful software. Basically, it enables you to take the stereo outputs, and record the tracks separately into your digital audio workstation, so you don't have to record each track individually, and that's pretty amazing. I'm a bit apprehensive to set it up because I've heard that there are some issues with some of the newer Mac operating systems, but we'll see once I go to, I think, track some of this into Logic Pro to kind of further play around with some of the EQ and compression. I definitely plan to try to utilize Overbridge. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's it for today. Thanks for joining.